Wrestling was entertaining, but what I do now is life-changing, and there's no greater joy than helping another person.
Did you have any plan for life after wrestling?
Life after wrestling was really dark. It came to the point where I just didn't want to be here anymore.
Was that your rock bottom moment?
That was going to be the end of Marc Mero.
So if that was the rock bottom moment, when did you feel like you were on top of the world?
It had to be as Johnny B. Bad.
Do you think fans are more familiar with your work in WCW or WWE?
I think the fans remember me as Johnny B. Bad. Going to the WWE and becoming Wildman Marc Mero, everything just changed. I got guaranteed contract, my wife flying everywhere I'm flying. Then I start realizing no one wants to work with me, and it's the worst feeling in the world.
There was a romantic angle with Vince McMahon and Sable.
That was after we left the company. I didn't want to go back to wrestling, and she went back on the road. She met Brock. That's how that ended in divorce.
How did you find out about that?
What happened was...
You inspire so many. Who inspires you?
That's a great question.
Hey guys, Maven here. Is exactly what you'll hear if you go to the next Insight Live in Las Vegas. Yes, Maven is our special guest for Insight Live the Thursday of WrestleMania week, April 16th at Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas. Circa is also the place to watch WrestleMania if you're not going to the show. Yes, watch parties are back on. Watch night 1 and night 2 here at Stadium Swim on a 143-foot screen with the beautiful pools right in front of it. Grab your tickets now at cvvtix.com. That's cvvtix.com. And as an added bonus for anybody who buys a VIP ticket, Maven's sticking around for the meet and greet after the show. This never happens. So grab your VIP tickets now. Hang out with me and Maven at the meet and greet after the show in Las Vegas. Also grab tickets for the show in Tampa and New Orleans, all at cvvtix.com. And I will see you there.
Mark, we've been talking about doing this for so long. We're finally here, so thank you for making this happen.
Oh man, I'm excited. When I heard you were in town, I said, oh man, we got to make this happen. And here we are.
Here we are. Congratulations on the book.
Oh, thank you. It did really well. And I was, it's finding someone, you know Ben Veal, who co-wrote the book with me, find someone that could take your words and make them into life, and where people are reading and going, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm there.
It did really well, but it's still doing really well.
Yes.
Like people are still talking about it. Like your story is so amazing, and we're going to dive into it throughout this episode, but I'm curious, do you think that life after wrestling has been more successful for you than when you were in it?
By far. It's like in life, it's not like finding your calling. It's like wrestling was entertaining, but what I do now is life-changing. And there's no greater joy than helping another person. And I found, that joy through so much heartache and loss and brokenness and stories that people can relate to. And I think that's why it's been so successful.
Well, that Mother's Day video gets me all the time, A Mother's Love, which is, it's full circle. We're sitting here in the Diamond Dallas Page Performance Center here, DDPY's Performance Center. His team filmed that video.
Yes.
And if someone hasn't seen this, oh my goodness, pause this and go watch it. It's 5 minutes long. It's just so powerful. Talk to me about that story and how Dallas and his team filming that and putting it out there, how much that changed things for you.
Well, whenever I was living in Florida at the time. Whenever I came to Georgia, I would stay with DDP, and hang out with him. We've always been great friends. We wrestled each other like 200 times, and he never beat me. But anyways, that's another whole story.
Don't look it up. Yeah.
But anyways, I was staying here in Georgia, and I was doing local schools. And Steve Yu, who works Dallas's partner, said, hey, why don't we come out and film it? And so Dallas had the crew come out and film it, because I get photo releases and video releases at the schools I go to. And they came out and filmed it. And a couple days later, DDP calls me up and he goes, hey, bro, you mind if we put this video up on YouTube? I said, sure. He sends it over to me, and I go, wow, that's really, Steve, you just edited this video so beautifully. And next thing you know, he calls me back like a day later, 2 days later, he goes, bro, the video just hit 100,000. I go, did it really? I go, then send it to me. Like, put it up on my YouTube channel. Well, anyways, the next thing you know, this thing just explodes. And celebrities like Charlie Sheen, Lil Wayne, Damon Wayans, all these celebrities are putting it up on their channels also. Next thing you know, this one's got 200,000, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million. And it just explodes, where we looked, one day we just decided to go see how many people have seen this video. And it was over 500 million people.
Oh my gosh.
It's just incredible.
Well, it's so easy to relate to it.
Yeah.
Everybody has a mother.
There's a little piece of everybody in this video.
For sure.
How we may treated someone, how someone may have treated us, how we take it granted for life. Life is so precious. And sometimes we just don't realize how important it is, and how we treat each other is really the bottom line of this video.
There's a line in that video that it gets me, and it's, I no longer live in time, I live in moments.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Every moment is precious. When we're always thinking about the next day, next year, or living in the past, which could be worse than that, living with bitterness, resentment, or unforgiveness. And I just live in these moments I have. I'm going to be 66 years old. We only have
you look great.
Well, thank you, brother. I got the memo on wearing black.
Thank you. This is the uniform.
But I realize that time is so important to me now, and I just got married in December to my beautiful wife, Melissa.
Congratulations.
And every day is so important. Like, we wake up and meeting someone that's happy all the time, and realizing that we're going to, travel more and do things and not look back on life and say, oh, I wish I would have done this or done that. I'm doing it now.
Yeah. You're speaking to something that I love so much, and it's gratitude.
Yeah.
And there's this quote I always come back to. It's, no amount of anxiety will change the past, and no amount of anxiety will change the future, and no amount of regret will change the past, but any amount of gratitude can change the present.
It's the attitude of gratitude. It's living in the moment and, preparing for the future, but living in the moment. It's very important for me.
You've had so much loss. You've had so much pain, but you show up with a smile on your face, and you live in such a spirit of joy all the time. Where does that come from?
Well, first and foremost, my faith in Christ. I'm a Christian, and he has changed my life. When I gave my life to, I grew up Jewish. A lot of people don't know this, but I grew up Jewish, and my last name used to be Merowitz, and it was shortened to Mero. And, but when I gave my life to Christ, everything changed. But I went through, I backslid. I went through some hard times, brokenness, and, divorce and death. And, my little brother and sister, they both died at 21. My mother died at 58. My dad died while I was holding my arms from lung cancer. He's looking right at me. And losing, and of course, all the guys we wrestled with and against in the business that passed on. Somebody hit me hard. Eddie Guerrero was just such a light in the world, and having so many great matches with Eddie, and so many of the guys that Brian Pillman, and guys that we just traveled with and were with all the time, that next thing they're gone. It's just, you realize how precious life is.
So you show up with a smile on your face all the time.
Well, I look at what's the alternative.
There's a lot of people living in that alternative.
Yes.
A lot of people, that are just upset about what they have or what they don't have. And a lot of people focus on the things they don't have.
Right. Yeah.
But you just have this, like, you're just this light.
Well, thank you, man. I realized that, because I do so many schools and so many presentations, you feed off the audience, but the audience also feeds off of you. And you got to come out there, and you just got to have a lot of energy and positivity. And when they hear my story, they think, maybe my life isn't so bad. Maybe I should start spending more time with my family. Maybe I shouldn't bully those kids or do this or do that. And it's really changed a lot. After my presentation, we often see kids hugging each other, which is, it's like, you've touched their heart in some way.
So for people who don't know, where did this start for you? And where did you start speaking to students?
Well, what happened was I opened up a gym in Florida, in Altamont Springs, Florida. And I became a trainer. And
this is post-wrestling?
Yeah, post-wrestling. Well, let me take a break just for a second.
Yeah.
Because this story's going to get... What happened was, after I lost everything, okay? When I say I lost everything, we were at a point where we had millions of dollars at one time. And after wrestling, divorce, I just started squandering my money. I mean, taking trips to Vegas and gambling and just living a horrible life. And the next thing I know, I'm running out of money. I'm down to my last 200 grand, which when you have millions of dollars, 200 grand is not a lot of money, especially living that lifestyle. And I remember to just to have something, I bought this little office building in Maitland, Florida, a little office building. But I opened up a gym. Well, no, I'm sorry. I started working at Gold's Gym. And I'll never forget, Chris, people would come in Gold's Gym and go, oh my gosh, Marc Mero, what are you doing here? I go, I work here. It was like, they go, you work at Gold's Gym? And it was a humbling experience, but I love training people. I love inspiring people. And that's where it kind of started. But what happened was I got a call from Melbourne high school football coach, and he asked me if I would come to speak to his players. I thought, well, that'd be cool. So I go and speak. They had no plan, no presentation, nothing. Just spoke from my heart. And back then, Facebook was real popular with the kids. And so I started getting a message through Facebook saying, man, this really changed my life. You really inspired me. And unbeknownst to me, that coach called another school and said, you should have them come to speak to your players. He goes, players? I'll have them come to speak to the whole school. And next thing you know, school after school starts calling. And of course, when the video went viral, we had 3,000 booking requests that month. The video went viral. So it just took off from there. And Chris, that was 19 years ago now.
You've been doing this for 19 years.
19 years. And up until the pandemic, we averaged 230 events a year. It was just like being in wrestling again, you know?
Oh my gosh.
And I remember coming home from wrestling. Our last was Capital Carnage was my last one with the WWE. I remember flying home from there thinking, never got to travel again. Never got to go nowhere again. I just want to be home. Been over to Europe so many times, been Southeast Asia, South Africa, been all over the world. And I remember just thinking, oh, I just get to be home now. And then knock on the door, next thing you know, I'm back on the road again.
Did you have any plan for what life after wrestling was going to look like?
Oh man, first of all, life after wrestling was really dark. That's when I really fell into drugs again. Walked away from God, just lived a horrible life, just didn't care, let myself go, out of shape, out of money, out of time. It was just where I remember that it came to the point where I just didn't want to be here anymore. The losing so many people in my life, and then of course going through the divorce and going through all that again. It's just like the depression, it got so bad that and then I had anger issues also on top of that, because you blame other people and you live with this bitterness and this resentment and all these things that come together just weigh on you. And you just feel, and I know someone out there is listening to this right now that's going, I went through that, or maybe I'm going through that right now. And it came to the point where I just remember that I just wanted to end it. And it was Christmas Day. And I drove to Cocoa Beach, Florida on Christmas Day. And I sat under a pier. And I remember the waves just rolling in and out and just thinking, I don't want to be here anymore. I had no place to go. I mean,
Why?
Christmas was always so big in my life, and I had many of our friends have passed on through the wrestling, and of course going through the divorce and all the heartache I went through. I remember just wanting to end it all. And then if it wasn't for me getting on my knees and asking Christ back into my life, I didn't know how. I remember just begging him for forgiveness and thinking to myself, what am I going to do? I'm basically starting over again. So I get a job. That's when I got a job at Gold's Gym as a trainer, and then things started getting better and better. And next thing you know, when the school thing opened up, but let me get back to that little office building I bought for $200,000, okay? Because this is part of the story.
Yeah.
So fast forward now, all these years later, I have this little building that I recently sold 4 years ago, but I held the note. I was the bank, okay? And they gave me a huge down payment. And they have to pay X amount of money for 10 years. Then there's a balloon payment. And the way the Lord works, this balloon payment is $214,000, exactly what I bought it for all those years ago.
Wow.
So it's an incredible story, but it's just how my life has turned out that things have you just wonder how this happened. I don't believe in coincidence. I really believe that things are meant to be, So anyone out there that's maybe going through a hard time, man, hang in there. It's going to get better. You got to believe that.
Was that day, Christmas Day 2003, was that your rock bottom moment?
That was not only my rock bottom, I believe that rock bottom had a basement. And I went right into that basement, and that was it. That was going to be the end of Marc Mero.
Because you didn't just think about committing suicide. You were ready to do it.
Yeah. It was going through so much pain that, when you don't have anybody to talk to, you don't have someone in your life that you can just share with, and not saying that there weren't people that would have listened to me or whatever, but sometimes you feel like you're more of a pain to people. You know, they don't need to hear your sob stories. And I held so much inside. And I think that's the worst things because, when I deal with a lot of students today too, they hold in this suicidal thoughts or self-harm or whatever it is, this pain. And when you hold things inside, it's like a volcano. And sooner or later, that volcano erupts. And it often erupts in negative behavior, whether it leads to you hurting other people, horrible relationships, anger issues, bitterness, resentment, self-harm, and worst case, those suicidal thoughts.
So if that was the rock bottom moment, take me into your wrestling career. When did you feel like you were on top of the world?
It had to be as Johnny B. Bad. Okay?
Yeah?
First of all, here I am, a boxer from New York, right? That, my boxing career was over, 10 years of drug addiction. And then next thing you know, I get off the drugs. I had a bunch of friends over my apartment. And one of my buddies had the remote control for the television. And he's flipping through the TV channels and he lands on professional wrestling. I go, whoa, stop it there. Let me see this. I'm looking at the television and I get this aha moment. Some people call it the aha moment. And I go, guys, I can do that. My buddies, who are still my buddies today, they busted out laughing. They go, Mark, are you crazy? Look at the size of those guys. I think it was like the Road Warriors were on TV. They had chaps from their ears coming down, They go, look at the size of those guys. They're going to pick you up and just throw you right out of that ring. I said, no, man, I'm telling you, I can do that. Because I was always a good athlete, And another friend of mine go, Mark, you're 30 years old. What are you going to do, start a pro career now? And I remember, and I use this to this day, and I said 2 words. I go, I believe. And that those 2 words changed my life, man. So, and it's always about taking action towards a dream or goal. And the action I had to take back then, I had to find out whether there was a wrestling school. I didn't know how to wrestle. I was living in Venice, Florida, and there was a wrestling school in Tampa. Boris Malenko, Dean and Joe Malenko's father, had a wrestling school. So I drive there after working on weekends. 1 year later, at 31 years old, is when I signed my first contract. But being at Malenko's school now, and I got to tell you, remember, I boxed, played football, hockey, lacrosse, all physical sports. Boris Malenko had me get in the ring, and they kind of have you just cross your arms and just fall backwards. I hit that mat, and I sound like a seal from SeaWorld. I was like, I couldn't catch my breath. I couldn't believe. I thought to myself, how do these guys do this night after night and land on their backs like this, because I didn't know how to fall at the time, Of course, he trained me and taught me and got me ready to get a tryout when I went to tryout, I was a job guy that would drive 9 hours from Venice, Florida to center stage here in Atlanta, hope to get picked on television. And that's when they picked me to be on television. And after my match is when Dusty Rhodes came up to me and said, hey kid, anybody ever tell you look like Little Richard? And I thought to myself, I thought he was talking about a wrestler. I go, I never heard of Little Richard. He goes, you don't know Little Richard? I go, oh, the singer? I go, yeah, no one's ever told me that. He goes, oh, I think I got a gimmick for you.
That's how you became?
That's how I became Johnny B. Bad.
Wow.
Yes, from going to making from $23,000 a year digging swimming pools, to, becoming a multimillionaire in wrestling was because Dusty Rhodes said, kid, anybody ever tell you you look like Little Richard?
So that gimmick changed your life.
It changed my life, man. And not only that, it opened the doors to meeting so many people. I mean, oh my gosh, it was like all these celebrities wanted to meet me, that obviously knew who Little Richard was. And so many people, first of all, they all thought I was black, being so dark and tan and the Little Richard gimmick.
And you were very tan.
Yeah, so to this day, I'll go to a place and someone goes, what character were you in wrestling? I go, I was Johnny B. Bad. They go, no, he was a black guy. I go, no, that was me.
We're now less than 2 months away from WrestleMania, and check out where I was sitting last year for night 2, the never seen 17, although he kicks out here, but you know how this match ends. I'm zoomed in a little bit, but great seats here from SeatGeek, and that's why I want to give a huge shout out to them for sponsoring this video. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, WWE, sports, festivals, and more. So check this out right here. This is SmackDown in a few weeks. Tickets start at $45 here. And the cool thing about SeatGeek is they've got your back. Every ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know if you're getting a good deal or not. Look for those green dots. Green means good. Red means bad, plus every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, yes, I've got a code for you. The code is CVV for 10% off your next set of tickets from SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets when you use that code CVV. Just click the link down below to download the app, and that code will automatically be applied for whatever your next event is. Big shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode.
Do you think fans are more familiar with your work in WCW or WWE?
Well, WWE being more recent, but I think the fans that really remember me is Johnny B. Bad. That was obviously my favorite character because Wildman Marc Mero, it was like, you got to really relate to what you're doing in the ring as far as the character goes. I learned how to wrestle, and thanks to friends like, Dallas, that we'd go down to the power plant here in Atlanta and work on our matches. I learned how to wrestle real good. I became one of the most improved wrestlers out there. But having that great gimmick, the Johnny B. Bad character, how do you hate this guy? He's shooting confetti guns, throwing frisbees, loving, kissing babies, and he's just a fun character, Then going to the WWE and becoming Wildman Marc Mero, everything just really changed.
So when you became Wildman Marc Mero, Vince McMahon asked you if you could do a Tarzan yell.
Yes. Okay. That's well, what happened was, I think they were thinking they would get kind of a knockoff of Johnny B. Bad, something similar like they do with some of the characters, But because the lawsuits were really going back and forth. Now, remember, guys are jumping ship. You'll see one guy on Raw one week, and next week he's on Nitro or something. Yeah. So it wasn't going to happen. So they had to completely change my character. And of course, I'm trusting them. Whatever they're going to come up with is going to be great. I mean, they made The Undertaker. They made all these great characters, right? I remember they flew me in for to talk about what they're going to have me do. And we sitting around a table, and Vince looks at me and goes, "Mark, what do you think of a wild man, Marc Mero?" And I go, "What's a wild man?" And he goes, "Can you do a Tarzan yell?" I thought, they know what they're doing. Damn. I go, "Vince, I don't have a very strong voice, and I cannot do a Tarzan yell." He goes, "All right, we're going to go with Wildman Marc Mero." And I go, "Okay, am I from the jungle or what am I? I'm doing this, tutti frutti character in WCW coming out now. Where am I from, So it was very hard for me to relate to, which the audience doesn't relate to. So it was very hard. And not only that, they hired my wife, Sable, as my valet. And now you got this beautiful woman going to the ring with you, and who are they going to cheer for? So it was very difficult right off the bat, but they really wanted to push me and give me some momentum. So they have me enter this Intercontinental tournament where I had to beat Owen Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ron Simmons. I mean, these are some top guys that they're putting you over to win the Intercontinental title. So I was thinking, now they're really going to start giving me that push I always dreamed about, why I went to the WWF or WWE. And, the next thing you know, I'm wrestling the fake Diesel, the fake Razor, TL Hopper, the Goon, guys that, are wonderful guys and good workers, but they're not the guys that is going to take you up the ladder in the WWF.
What shifted?
And that's the thing that maybe it's a great question for Vince. I don't know. Maybe my confidence wasn't there. I thought, it was very hard for me to work with guys. First of all, and this is really kind of hard to talk about in the sense that I wasn't well liked. And my whole life, I had a lot of friends. I was always popular in sports, captain of my teams. And then you go into this new organization where you're not very well liked and you didn't really understand why. Well, come to find out later, I got this guaranteed contract. I have my wife flying everywhere I'm flying. So I'm not hanging out with the guys, not going to the bars. I'm not, staying up and doing things with those guys or hanging out with guys. And I'm with my wife all the time. And then I start realizing that no one really wants to work with me, and you're kind of an outcast, and it's the worst feeling in the world.
So is it jealousy?
Part of it is, I guess, when you think about Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mick Foley just came in months before me for an opportunity. Next thing you know, I'm the first guy that gets this, not only a guaranteed contract, a big signing bonus on top of it.
How did you negotiate this guaranteed contract? Because I believe it was the first one that Vince McMahon had ever given out.
Right.
So how did it come about that you were able to convince him to do this?
Well, what happened was 3 years before this, Vince flew me to New York after my first my second contract with WCW was up. And we had dinner together at his house and had a great conversation. And he said to me, "What's going to take to bring you to the WWF?" I said, "Vince, I got a 3-year guaranteed contract waiting for me at WCW and a signing bonus. And I would need that if I'm going to come to the WWF." And he says, "Mark, we'd love to have you, but we don't give guaranteed contracts. We give opportunities." And I said, "Well, then I can't come." And we shook hands. There was no arguing. There was no animosity. It was like, he was really giving me a hug. They took me to the airport and I left. 3 years goes by. And next thing you know, my contract is up again. And Vince says, "What's it going to take to bring you to the WWF?" I go, "Vince, you got to give me a guaranteed contract." And he goes, "I've never done that before." And I go, "Well, that's what I got to have because I got another 3-year guaranteed contract with WCW." And he goes, "Okay." I go, "Well, I also have a signing bonus there." He goes, "Okay, is that it?" I go, "Well, Vince, I'd like my wife to fly everywhere I fly. I just got married not too long ago. It was we just got married 2 years before this. And I've seen so many divorces in the wrestling industry."
Was she in the business at this point?
No, she never, she's a stay-at-home mom for our daughter, Mariah. And he said, wait, you want your wife to fly everywhere you fly?" I go, "Yeah, Vince, I see too many divorces and I just want her to go where I go. But since she's going with me, why don't we make her my valet?" He goes, No. He goes, let's just worry about you." And so he agrees to all the demands I had: guaranteed contract, signing bonus, and my wife would fly where I flew. So we're excited about this. And then he sends me the ticket to fly to New York to go over the new character, but he only sends one ticket. So I call him. I have a cell phone. I call him up. I go, "Vince, I got the ticket, but there's only one here." He goes, "How many do you need?" I go, "Well, my wife's supposed to fly everywhere I fly." He goes, "To sign a contract?" And I said, "Yes." So he sends another ticket. We fly in, and that's when he said, when we're walking into his office, he goes, "I got to put her on TV." And that's when we came up with that name that day. We went through a bunch of names. We came up with the name, her and I, Sable.
That was the first time he met her?
That first time Vince ever met her.
So, and he was like, "That looks like a wrestling character.
That looks like something we got to put on TV." Because I remember they're flying her everywhere anyways.
Yeah.
So why not, put her to work?
Yeah.
And it could be your valet and make it work. And that's how we both signed our contracts.
And you're right. Like, you go out there with her, they want to cheer for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what does this do for your character?
But you know what? Here's the thing that a lot of people maybe don't realize. Like, when you're married and you're in love, you're a team.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, I'm getting guaranteed money no matter what. If she gets her, if she starts building her character up, she's going to make a lot of money in merchandise and so on, right? And sure enough, the more I did to lower my profile, the more her profile raised, Of course, things like, I'd have her come out in a potato sack or something. She'd rip it off and have a bikini on. And we were doing this over and over again, where she was always one step ahead of me, And until we came down to actually having to wrestle against each other, and she Sable bombed me, and I was ready to go into a program with Steve Austin too, which, that's the top of the food chain right there. And when she Sable bombed me, now I basically, she's a good athlete, but I basically Sable bomb myself.
It looks clean.
Yeah. But it took me out of the program with Steve, because Steve thought, if a girl's going to do that to him, I'm not going to let him get in the ring with me, which people would be like, "Oh, you blew the opportunity." But remember, now I'm raising her profile we're living at home. They're backing up the Brinks truck to our house at this point, you know?
Mhm.
So when you're a team like that, you just, I'm going to make the same amount of money, whether I get really popular or not. So I took that move or that opportunity and did that.
How quickly did you realize she was much more popular than your character?
Very quickly. But it was fun because when I became Marvelous, Marc Mero became the heel.
Yeah.
It was all perfect.
Well, it worked perfectly for that gimmick.
Yes, right. But the Wildman character, even though I'm going to the ring and they're basically cheering for her, it's like, wow, how am I going to get over, with this? So we changed it up, and then it worked out perfectly. And then had to teach her how to wrestle, because now Vince wants to put her into wrestling and bring the women's title on her.
How quickly did Vince want to now be part of this storyline? Because there was a romantic angle with Vince McMahon and Sable.
Well, that was after she went back, after we left the company. That's when we were going through our breakup. She decided to go back to the WWF, and I didn't want to go back to wrestling. And so I was kind of a stay-at-home mom with our daughter, Mariah, and she went back on the road. And that's how, she met Brock, and that's how that all ended in divorce.
How did you find out about that?
Well, I've told this story before, but what happened was every night before, she'd be traveling all over the country, all over the world, but every night she would call home to talk, tuck in Mariah, say goodnight to both of us, And it just seems weird that the calls were becoming less and less. And, and Mariah wouldn't get to talk to her mom, so she'd be a little upset that, I didn't get to talk to mom today or nothing,
How old's your daughter at this point?
I think she was around, let's see, maybe 12, And so she was not calling as much. And I remember I got really upset because I'd call her and just go to voicemail. So I called up and I just left this really nasty message, like, why don't you, what is wrong with you? Your daughter's upset, I'm upset. And then I felt really bad because I know what it's like being on the road. And so we have each other's combination to get into the phones, so I can call back and delete my message. So I press in the code to get into her phone, and it says, you have 2 unheard messages. And so I got to listen to this first message first, which was a male's voice talking about their night before, and apologizing to her, and it was just really just heartbreaking. Like, she's with somebody else, and I didn't say nothing about it. I just kept it on the phone, and then when I picked her up at the airport, I said, "Who is this?" And I played it, and she just said, "I want a divorce," and that was it. And she moved out, and that's when my life kind of started going south.
At what point did you find out it was Brock Lesnar?
It was later on. I mean, it was a while. She never would tell me who it was.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing about forgiveness is, like, people say, well, how do you forgive somebody? And for me, it's real easy. It's like when they mention her name, I don't get angry anymore, and I wish them the best. They got great kids, and my life couldn't be better. Like, I think about all the paths that I've taken since then led to right where I am today, talking to Chris, but right to where I am today, married to the most incredible woman, my life partner. I couldn't be happier or more blessed to have Melissa in my life. And if all those paths didn't happen the way they did, it wouldn't have been what it is today. Mm. So everything that maybe I lost, I got back, and I got back even more, in a sense that I couldn't imagine being more content, more blessed in my life than I am right now.
You wrote in your book that you think that Sable should be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. She did something in the women's division when they didn't really have a women's division so much back then at all, but she brought eyes to the channels. The ratings and everything were very high because of her. It's
amazing that she's not in it, actually, as we sit here and think about it. She was so iconic in that era. Also,
I think it has a lot to do with, she's always wanted to be in the spotlight, and then she had a big part of the spotlight, and then getting married, and they live a very private life. I mean, we still share our daughter. You know, Mariah was just here not too long ago, stayed with me with our granddaughter Sophia. But she just stays out of the spotlight, and that's what they chose. And because you know, she doesn't do wrestling conventions, or I don't think she's ever at Raw or SmackDown with Brock. But that's just what they choose, and you got to respect that from her.
Do you think it's because she sued WWE?
No, because remember, she went back after she sued
That's
WWE.
right.
You know,
And unfortunately, you got caught up in that.
oh my! I just signed a brand new 3-year contract at that time. And back then, I mean, think about the late '90s, $350,000 a year goes up 25,000 every year.
That's a lot of money.
It's over $1 million over that I walked away
A lot of money
from
in general.
to go with her. And so the idea was that we would go to Hollywood for 1 year. She wanted to get into acting. I mean, she was on top of the world with all the magazine covers that she did and things like that. So she was very popular. Everybody knew who she was. So we thought it's a shoo-in to get into Hollywood, and which isn't always true. So it's sometimes tougher than people think it is. So we got a place in Studio City. We decided to do it for 1 year. You know, let's rent this place for 1 year, and we still got our home in Florida. So I'm going back to Florida while she's staying in Studio City, trying to get into acting. And she got some small gigs, but nothing that really made it. And I remember her telling me, she said to me, "What do you think about me going back to the WWF?" I said, "Are you kidding me? They will kill you. I mean, you sued them for over $100 million, and we had to settle out of court, and they can't stand you. You got on all these talk shows and talk down to them, and no, you can't. You can't." She goes, and I said, "Vince will never take your phone call." And she goes, "He already did." I was heartbroken, thinking, how can you do that? And she called him, and the plan was she had to go back and apologize to some of the top guys that didn't want her back at that time. But, you know, Undertaker, or Shawn, or Triple H, or whoever, that she had to go back, and that was part of the deal, you know? And so I'm supporting her, believing, you know, that's what she needs to do, you know? So we're having our friends over for like Monday Night Raw parties, you know, and it was like cheering her on, you know? And then seeing some of the storylines just got really out there, you know, being Vince's concubine or something, you know, I don't know what that was, you know, and then of course, obviously what the story I just told you about what happened was it went south.
Did she talk to you about the storyline with Vince?
No, I mean, she's just thinking it's just acting, you know, I'd have to do this if I was in a movie or something like that. So yeah, but it would just didn't sit right with me, you know, didn't look right, didn't sit right. And it just was not good.
Was the door open for you to go back to WWE at that time?
I had no desire to go back there.
Were you,
you know,
you were done with it?
No, I thought I was, but then, you know, I did do some stints at TNA for a little while. And then of course, I was friends with Hulk. So they started the XWF, and we tried that, you know, for a little while. And then I had my last match in like 2006, and then hung up the gloves.
How did you,
the boots, the gloves.
How did you know you were done?
You know, I've had 14 surgeries, and anybody that's in the business, and Chris, you know that anybody that's been in the business for a long time has usually had knee operations and shoulders and elbows and everything.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that it's not a matter of if you get injured, it's a matter of when you get injured.
Yeah, but see, guys like AJ Styles have gone, you know, almost nonstop for so many years, you know, and guys that Chris Jericho, that have, just amazing how their longevity is, you know. But your body gets really broken down, you know. And then obviously having my final surgery was the open heart surgery, where I had a new valve put in. So I realized that my wrestling days are over.
Do you think you've had a Hall of Fame career?
You know what? If you want to look at my WWF stint, no, you know. But if you want to look at things I've done with WCW as Johnny B. Bad, were very entertaining. You talk
3-time U.S. champ.
Yeah.
Or TV champ,
TV
sorry.
champ, yep.
3-time TV champ.
What I've done after wrestling, like, could you imagine, like, I haven't thought, like, here I am doing 230 schools, events a year all over the country, all over the world. I've been to Russia, Guatemala, speaking at schools, Canada. And I thought, the WWF or WWE was trying to they had a program called Be a Star or something where they might have a wrestler go to a school, but it's like a guy you see on TV and you just go crazy over the guy, but you're not giving a story, where I'm going in there and really touching students' hearts and changing lives. I always thought, why don't they partner with me on this? How cool would it be if WWE partnered with me and did schools and we started programs all over the country that we kept a program in the school, a WWE scholarship program or something that we could do, It would have been so wonderful to do something like that. And they just had no interest in working with me.
I feel like you'd be the perfect recipient for the Warrior Award.
Yeah, something like that would be wonderful, and if I ever did, DDP would be the guy that induct me,
I feel like DDP's inducting so many people. He's the best.
We have the most competitive, fun relationship because we've wrestled each other so many times. But more than that, it's push-up contests, it's pull-up contests, it's ab contests. We're just like two little kids, man. We're getting up in our late 60s here, and we're still challenging each other,
I will never look past an opportunity to put over DDP. He's such a good friend. He's such a good person. I think the world's a better place because DDP's in it.
Absolutely, man. And we both found our calling after wrestling in a sense,
Yeah, you guys are two of the very few examples who have had a better career after wrestling.
Yeah.
And both of you had amazing wrestling careers. But you think of the obvious ones like The Rock, Dave Bautista, John Cena. But when you think beyond them, like you and Dallas are right at the top of that list.
Yeah, well, thank you. We just have so much fun. When I see his number come up on my phone, I know I've got to have at least a half hour to 45 minutes.
Yes.
There is no way you can just go, so hey, how you doing today? And then hang up, It's like we have so much to share all the time with each other. And, especially me getting married now, and wanting to spend time with him and his wife. So it's just really cool.
An interesting fact about you is you were part of The Rock's WWE debut match.
I was.
Survivor Series 1996.
Yes. I was the captain of the team. And, the plan was obviously Rock was going to win the match and stuff. But it was great. A lot of people, Rock is such an amazing guy. I mean, we got along so well. He's brand new in the company, and I was there for just a little while longer before he was there. But a lot of people might know this about him, though. But he used to come and grab me, and we'd pray together before a match, which I always remembered was a really cool thing. Like his faith was really strong, and I hope it continues to be strong. I hope it is. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I know obviously he's doing amazing,
Did you see that charisma in him during that debut match that we ended up seeing later?
I don't think anyone saw it the way it turned out to be. He just found confidence, and it was like a snowball effect. It just kept getting bigger and bigger, and seeing him, create this amazing character, man. It was so much fun. He was one of the most fun guys to watch. When you put that microphone in front of him, it was like you don't know what's going to come out of his mouth.
Right.
I feel like it's so easy to use, I'm just too busy, as an excuse to not eat well. But Factor changes everything. We're talking fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. It's delivered to your door, ready in 2 minutes. There's no planning, no cooking, and really no excuses. Quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. No refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils. And there's 100 rotating weekly meals to keep things fresh and delicious all throughout the season. My go-to meal these days is this one right here. Lemon herb grilled chicken, with quinoa rice blend and broccoli. So good. Pop it in the microwave and it's ready in about 2 minutes. These meals are always delivered fresh, never frozen. There's no prep, there's no stress, so you can actually stick to your goals. Head to factormeals.com/insight50off and use the code insight50off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor.
I had Christian on my show not long ago.
Yes.
And he said that you stole the TKO from him.
Well, it's funny that Christian said that. When I blew out my knee, I needed total reconstruction of my knee. When my knee started getting better, Bret Hart offered me to go to Calgary and rehab it at the dungeon, the famous Hart Dungeon. And I couldn't wait. So I got a plane ticket, went up there to rehab my knee. And I met Christian, Edge, Test. These are young guys trying to get into the business, And so we're all working out together. And apparently he was doing a move similar to that, maybe he showed me at the time or whatever. But when I found that move was actually from Diamond Dallas Page. And anyone can call Dallas and ask him because he'll remember the conversation. What happened was Dallas would do the diamond cutter out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It would just come out. And that was what's so cool about it. You just never know when he was going to do it. Well, he did one into a fireman's carry into the diamond cutter. And I needed a new move because remember, I'm coming back from rehab, from knee surgery. I'm doing this wild thing off the top rope, landing on my knees. So I needed something where I could be more stationary. So I saw Dallas do it on television. I called him right up. I go, hey, DDP, I go, that move is amazing, man. The fireman's carry into the diamond cutter. I go, do you mind if I use that on WWF television? And I had to come up with a name. So I come up with the name TKO. Total knockout. And he goes, absolutely, bro, man, you don't have to ask me, just take it, And that's when I started using it. And then when I saw the video of Christian saying I stole his move, well, first he said he gave me the move.
Well, Christian said you took him out to dinner.
Yeah.
Like he did the move,
right?
And then you took him out to dinner and you said, hey, I'm about to go back. Would it be okay if I did that move? And he's like, yeah, all right. What am I supposed to say, right?
Yeah, that's what he remembers. And you know what, Christian, I love you, man. He's such a great guy, And maybe that is true that he showed me that move, but I don't even remember it, or because when I saw Dallas do it, I go, oh my gosh.
Well, it worked out because Christian does the prettier perfectly. Like that move fits him so well.
Yes.
And I don't know if Christian would have been able to do the TKO on everybody in WWE.
Well, the funny thing is that when I first started doing it, they put me on the road with Rikishi. Now, I got to tell you this story because he was the Sultan back then.
That's right.
He was the Sultan. And when you pick up a guy that's almost 400 pounds, right? I remember starting the tour with Rikishi. I was about 6 foot tall. By the end of the tour, I was like 5'4", because every time I picked him up, I'd feel my back go down a couple notches.
Were you giving him the TKO?
I had to give it to him every night, because I would beat him as the Sultan.
Yeah.
But the way we did it, though, wasn't me just picking him up. I would throw him off the rope, so I had a little momentum coming in. So even heavier when you pick him up and he just comes down on your shoulders, it would be like, I would hear my back go. So, but anyways, that was it's a good move to do because it wasn't put me up on the top rope anymore, or at least not as much anymore.
But that's a tough move to do because you can't do it to everybody. Like, could you do that to the Big Show?
No
right.
way. No way.
And the great thing about a move like the Prettier, for example, you can do that on anybody. It doesn't matter how big or small they are.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
But anyways, I'm glad we straightened that out.
When did the shooting star press become a move that was in your rotation?
Well, because when I first came to the WWF, I didn't have a finishing move. And my first match ever was against, believe it or not, it was Glenn Jacobs. First match ever. He was Dr. Isaac Yankum. Remember that?
Yes.
The dentist.
Yeah.
And so the way I beat him, I think it was a sunset flip off the top rope. You know what I mean? It was like I had a lot of moves, but they weren't finishing moves. So I had to come up with something that was a little different. And when I was in Japan, I remember seeing, I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was just Liger.
Yeah, Jushin Thunder Liger.
Jushin Thunder Liger. I think it was him that did the shooting star press. And I saw it in Japan, and I go, wow, that is a cool move. You know? And I was a kid, I used to be on the diving board all the time doing doubles and stuff. So I had some trajectory I could do, you know? Well, anyways, I didn't know, I never did it off the ropes before, you know? Like, where do you practice something like that, you know? They weren't some wrestling schools all over like there are now. So I went to my daughter's gymnastics class with her. And while they were on the other side of the gymnastics doing like the bar or the what do they call it, the uneven bars or whatever, you know, I would take a pommel horse and a crash pad, and I'd get up on it and I would do the little flip, and I had to land on my stomach. Remember, this isn't like you land on your feet, you got to land on your stomach to cover the guy, and your hands and knees got to go on each side of him. Well, the kids start watching me, and they're all laughing because they see me land on my stomach, and I'm thinking I'm doing great. I go, yes. They're like, the kids are all cracking up because he's a gymnast. You're supposed to land on your feet.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how I came up with the move. But now, fast forward now, the first time I ever tried it was live. Not only live, it was SummerSlam pay-per-view. Never did it in my life on the ropes or in the ring. And my opponent was Goldust. And Dustin is one of the greatest guys. Have you interviewed Dustin yet?
Yes, I love
He's
Dustin.
the greatest guys.
Yeah.
He goes, so we're kind of walking through our match at SummerSlam. And I go, I got this new move I want to try today. And he goes, yeah, sure. He goes, what is it? I go, well, I'm going to like Samoan drop you kind of near the corner. I'm going to go to top rope. I'm going to do a flip and open up and land on it. He goes, how are you going to do the flip? I go, I'm going to go backwards. And he goes, I don't want to know no more. Just do it. He didn't want to think about it.
And you were confident you could land it and
you know
not
what?
land on the guy?
I'm just like that. I'm an adrenaline junkie. And I just said, I'm going for it. And I remember dropping him in the corner. I go, oh my gosh. And I got to the top rope. And remember, WWF ropes are much different than WCW. WCW's were like cables. They're very, you could really jump off those. WWF's ropes would get very loose sometimes. I remember getting up there going, oh my gosh, I got to really fly to get this thing, to get my trajectory and momentum up in the air. And I remember just going, here I go. And I went for it. And luckily I landed it perfect. And I've never hurt anybody with that move. The only one I even hit hard one time was Draws. One time I did it with him and my knee hit him a little bit on the side of the head. But that guy was, I remember going to the back dressing room going, man, I am so sorry. He goes, what? You know, he's like, didn't even faze him, you know.
What's the scariest moment you've ever had in the ring?
I remember wrestling Raven, or he was Scotty Flamingo with WCW. We were wrestling at the Omni in Atlanta, and I believe it was Christmas Day. They used to do it on Christmas Day, and we were doing a match. And I remember, or maybe Thanksgiving. I can't remember. It was a holiday, but I got knocked out in the match somehow. Whatever, I don't remember what I hit, how I got hit, or whatever. But I was out, and now I'm supposed to win the match, and I don't even know where I am. I don't even know who I am. You know, I mean, I was concussed, and somehow or another, Scotty pulled me on top of him for the 1, 2, 3, and when I went back to the dressing room, I didn't even know where I was. I didn't even know I wrestled. You know, that's how bad it was.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was probably the scariest moment. The most painful moment was I was doing these planches over the top rope and landing on the guy, and I threw Dallas out of the ring, and he's on the floor. And when I went over the top rope, he wasn't ready for me yet, and he was on the ground, and he had his knee up, and I'd never forget my ribs hitting his knee, and it didn't break my ribs. What it did was it tore the cartilage open. It is more painful than breaking your ribs, is what I've been told later on, but I couldn't breathe. And the next move we did was I threw him in the ring. We had to do a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. And I'm thinking, I can't even breathe. It hurts so bad, you know? And Dales goes, tilt-a-whirl. I'm like, oh my gosh, because he's already going off the ropes, you know? He's coming at me. I go, you better spin yourself. And he did. He's just, we were so good together, you know? And, but we had to end that match quickly.
Do you remember what the original pitch was for Brawl For All?
Don't even remember what it was. All I remember was I got a call from, I don't know if it was Pritchard or Vince. I think it was Vince that called me. And he said, we're going to do this thing now where we're going to have the guys fight and take down, kind of like a tough man contest. And he said, you know, every time you do it, I think it was $5,000 or $10,000 extra on top of your salary. And I didn't blink an eye. I think, no problem. Okay. You know.
It's perfect for you with the boxing background.
Well, you would think so. But remember, I've already had 5 shoulder surgeries, 5 elbows. I didn't have the speed or the power I had as a young 20-year-old boxer, you know? So but the thing I did still have was I had amazing ability to slip punches. Like no one could really hit me, you know? So the only way I can really lose if I get taken down. Well, they put me in there with the takedown king, you know? Steve Blackman. And he took me down over and over. And I remember that son of a gun, you know, never got hurt or anything like that. But he blew out his knee. And so next thing I know, I got my money for the fight, and they call me back. They go, guess what? You're back in the Brawl For All. I go, great. It's now 10 grand or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And they told me I'm wrestling Bradshaw, which I'm going to be really honest. I couldn't stand Bradshaw back then. I didn't think a lot of people couldn't because he was a bully. And when we wrestled each other, he didn't like me, and he would take liberties on me. He would like power bomb me so hard where I thought my lungs were to come through my chest. It would hurt so bad, and I didn't like him. So they told me I want to fight Bradshaw. I was like, yes, I want to fight that guy so bad, And Bradshaw calls me and says, hey man, if you bow out, then I get to fight this guy. And, you're kind of out of it anyways, And I go, no, I want to fight you. And so he knew I had no fear of him, And so we, obviously it's 3 rounds. We do our 3 rounds. They call it a draw. Like he took me down, but I hit him better shots. So they call it a draw. And then remember, they're ready to take off the gloves and everything and put the gloves back on. We're going 1 more round, So we had to fight 1 more round. We're the only ones that did 4 rounds and not 3.
Because you needed a winner.
Yes. And they gave him the decision, which was in Cleveland. I remember the place just was booing, thinking that I won the fight.
It's the concept.
But let me just go. I want to say this to this. Bradshaw, we couldn't stand each other back then. I love that guy. I mean, when I say that, meaning that what he has done after his wrestling career with building wells for over in Africa somewhere, I believe. He's helped so many people, and I can't, like, if I see him now, I'll just give him a big hug or something, like there's no animosity or no bitterness. But back then, and what I love about going to wrestling conventions is like guys you didn't like back then or didn't hang out with. It's like everybody's like, we did something that not many people in this world could do.
Yeah.
And so it's this camaraderie that you have, this unspoken word that you just see someone, you go, hey man, how's it going,
So how long did it take you to get to that point with Bradshaw?
Yesterday. No, I'm just kidding. No, years ago, man. He actually, we kept in touch through social media and wrote some nice letters to each other. It's really cool.
But the concept of Brawl For All is crazy, that like you guys are going in there fighting for real, and then the winner gets served up to Butterbean. Yes,
yeah. And the thing is that one of the dumbest ideas, because I'm one of the only guys that never got hurt doing it. I mean, almost everybody really got hurt pretty bad.
Bart Gunn got knocked out bad.
And it ruined his career. It ruined Dr. Death Steve Williams' career. So you take 2 of these top guys that now didn't have a career really after that, Bart Gunn was like this tough guy that's knocking out guys, hurting guys and wrestlers. And then you go against this, and you see, Butterbean hits like a mule. I mean, he just got this right hand that could kill anybody, right? I know this. I'm a boxer, When I sparred with Butterbean, he had real trouble hitting me because of my elusiveness, and I could move on my feet. I knew how to move that away from his power punch, just from years of boxing. And knowing that he's going to destroy Bart when he hits him. And sure enough, here he is ready to go to the next level, probably be in a program with Steve, make a lot of money. And they put him in this match with Butterbean, and wow, I mean, not many people seen a guy get knocked out that bad.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy too, man. Really liked Bart.
Sleep. So important. One of my top priorities, especially with 2 young kids keeping us on our toes all day. Cozy Earth has been a big part of this. Cozy Earth's quality is undeniable. You can feel it in the materials. Their bamboo sheet set, these are the softest sheets I've ever slept on, and they're naturally breathable and temperature regulating. Sleep is so important because how you feel every day depends on how you slept the night before. With Cozy Earth, you get a 100-night sleep trial, so try them for yourself. I love them, but if they're not for you, returns are simple, and every piece comes with a 10-year warranty. Their comforters are amazing too. Discover how care in every detail transforms simple routines into moments of true comfort and ease. Head to CozyEarth.com and use my code CVV for up to 20% off. That's code CVV for up to 20% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure to let them know that you heard about Cozy Earth right here on the show. Experience the craft behind the comfort and make every day feel intentional.
You inspire so many people, Marc. I'm curious who inspires you.
Wow, that's a great question. Oh man, I mean, people like Dallas. I don't want to sound weird or anything, but my wife, like I've watched her with kids, and that when I see someone else treat people better than they want to be treated, it inspires me. So I love. I don't know. I love people that help other people. That's I always just want to be better than I was yesterday type thing, just always want to treat people good. I treat people better than they treat me. I always think of that. Like when people treat me really good, I want to up them. I want to let people know I'm at the place in my life where I love telling people that I love them or I care about them or I'm there for them. And I get hundreds of messages every day. My wife helps me with them because we get so many messages from kids. We read them to each other, and then we have to respond to these kids because we're talking about the kids that are writing to you. A lot of them write to you just tell you what a great presentation, but you get the kids that are self-harming, the kids that don't want to be here no more, the kids that have been bullied most of their life, the kids that have no relationship with their parents. They just want to be heard. They just want to know somebody cares. And that's what we do.
You've dropped so much wisdom during this conversation. You've dropped so many great quotes. What's a quote you always come back to, or one that maybe guides your life?
Well, one of the things that I think about is life is short, live it. Love is rare, grab it. Anger is bad, dump it. Fear is awful, face it. Memories are sweet, cherish it.
That's good. I've watched your Mother's Day video so many times. I cry every time. How are you able to deliver it? Everybody in the audience is crying.
Yeah.
How are you able to tell such a sentimental, heart-wrenching story and not break down?
I'll be honest. I tear up at almost every single one of my presentations, not because I'm telling the story. It's seeing a student in the audience weeping and thinking, what could they be going through? And because I have to relive the moment of me walking up to my mom's casket. That's how I do it every single time. I really relive that moment of walking up to her casket. Because I didn't, first of all, I was standing so far back because I couldn't walk up to it. And so many people came out to say goodbye to my mom. And the line was so long. So they started having groups of people going up to her and saying goodbye and praying over and everything. And all I could do was look from a distance, but I kept thinking to myself, Mom, please wake up. Please get up. And then I finally had the nerve to walk up to her. And as I got closer, Chris, I could see my mom for the first time. I mean, she looked so beautiful. She was dressed in white. She looked like an angel. And I remember just standing over and I just said, Mom, you are my hero. Everything I am, everything I hope to be was because of you. You loved me so much. You gave me a life. You worked 2 jobs. You're the only one that ever believed in me. And how did I repay her? By getting drunk, by getting high, by getting stupid, by hanging out with friends that could care less. They didn't come to the funeral, and it was just, and the greatest thing, Chris, is I can't tell you how many letters I get from kids that tell me they went home and told their parents they loved them, or letters from moms and dads that, I got one funny one from my mother recently that said, my daughter came home from school today and she said, I want to start having dinner with you and Dad. And she's being nice to her little brother. What the hell did you say? And those are the great things that happen on tour.
You had already written a book before.
Yes.
Not a biography, but a book.
How to be the happiest person on the planet.
What a great title.
And then Dallas comes along, that son of a gun.
Says how to be the second happiest person on the planet. What's the key? How do you be the happiest person on the planet?
It's a choice. It really is. It's very easy because what's the alternative? You know what I mean? I choose to be happy every day. And it's just the way I am. It's just really bad things happen to all of us, but that means we don't have to live in it. We don't have to keep rehashing it over and over again. There's things in life we can't control. Can't control the stock market. We can't control the weather. There's just things you can't control. I can't control the way someone's going to act, but I know I can control me. It's not the circumstance or situations, how we respond to it that makes all the difference.
John Cena told me 3 words that I think about every single day. Control the controllable.
Mm.
And it's exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about, but I'd never heard it distilled down so simply into 3 words like that. But I think about it every single day.
Yeah.
You can't control what other people say.
Right.
You can't control what other people do. But what you can control is how you react to those things.
Yes. Yes.
What I'm getting at here is now you've come to a point where you wrote this book about your life. What made you decide to write this?
Well, I've always wanted to write kind of a biography and really tell my story. Like I shared stories in this book that I've never shared. People didn't know I burnt down my house at 5 years old. Come on now.
What was the hardest thing to write about?
Writing about depression is very hard for me now because of the joy I have in life. It's like rehashing those moments of going through that. But understand you have to go through that to help somebody else. You have to understand your current, and I tell this to people all the time, your current trial is going to be your future testimony. Like I never knew I'd be on stage talking about these horrible things that happened to me in life, of all the people in my life that have died. And I just think that by sharing my story or someone sharing their story is going to help another person.
Yeah, you share a lot.
I do.
Were there topics where you were like, I don't know if I want to include that?
Yes, the drug dealing was another tough one. I'm working with the Colombians out of Miami, bringing cocaine to New York. It was like this. People would never know that about me. And school still let me in. No, I'm teasing. This was so many years ago. But
were you like, is the statute of limitations up? Okay, we can put that in the book.
Yeah, and there were certain people I had to get permission to share some of these stories because they were with me. And one of my buddies, he did 7 years in prison that ran with me and never ratted on nobody.
Did this mend some fences? Like, had you talked to Eric Bischoff before this?
Oh yeah. No, yes. Not only talked to Eric Bischoff before this, but seen him in a convention. We have so buried the hatchet. We hung out together, and he's a great guy, man. He gave me my first really big contract. He believed in me when the Johnny B. Bad character. I think they got rid of Dusty at the time. They had new bookers come in, and it was just all crazy. And he just said, "Hey, don't go nowhere. I got something special for you." And he gave me that first really big contract.
Sounds like you've buried the hatchet with everybody.
Yeah. Well, if there's anyone that has something with me, it isn't because I got anything with them. I don't ever want to live with bitterness or resentment. If there's anyone out there that I ever hurt that I haven't apologized to, that if they remind me of it, I would be absolutely, dude, so sorry about that,
If you're starting to get down on yourself or you're in a funk, what do you do to snap out of it?
Oh man, I got, you go to so many of the blessings in your life. It's so hard to stay negative. And being around other positive people. My wife is so positive. We wake up happy every day. Like, and then when you start your day like that, it just goes through the day. You're always talking to people and you're happy and they see this energy about you. And it just transpires into other people being happy. They're like, man, you're such a good mood all the time,
Yeah. I think about that all the time. I'm so lucky to have the wife that I have, the partner that I have. Now seeing her as a mother to our kids, it's like, oh my gosh, I won the lottery.
Yeah.
It's the greatest thing to have that person by your side.
And there's a perfect example right there. If you ever get down, you just think about that. How could you stay down when you could look in your kid's eyes, your wife, or...
I look at the back of my phone and I'm like, let me get rid of these notifications here. But I'm like, how could I possibly be upset when I see those faces there of my kids, Logan and Cooper? And I'm like,
that's so cute. Yes.
It's the greatest thing. And I think a lot about like little kids are only little kids for such a short period of time.
It goes by so fast.
Almost 3 years old and 15 months. And I'm like, oh.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it flies right by.
And especially as I'm getting older now, like I'm aware of my mortality. I'm aware that, the average person lives to 76, a guy, men. And not that I hope to live much longer than that, but I realize that life is really passing. I mean, think about this. It was 30 years ago I was with WCW. that seems like, yeah, I mean, I talk to fans, it seems like they remember these matches that were just, seemed like they were yesterday and they were 20, 30 years ago. And so
Nostalgia's
I think
a hell
about
of a
20
drug.
years from now or 30 years from now, I'm gonna be in my 90s.
Wow.
You know, so I really am enjoying this chapter, these last chapters more than anything. And I just live with the rest of your life will be the best of your life.
I love that. When you look back at that guy in WCW, do you still see you?
I see it was a real playful character, you know, and I'm always joking around. I'm always silly, I guess you'd say, you know. And that character was, I'll never forget when Dusty Rhodes first was showing me this character, and he says, "Now here's what I want you to do." He goes, "When you walk up to that microphone, you say, 'I'm so pretty, I've been born a little girl.'" I go, "Oh, Dusty, really?" He goes, yeah, he goes, good. He'd have me practice it, right?
Yeah.
And I go up to my and go, "I'm so pretty, I should be born a little girl." He goes, "No," he goes, "I'm a little girl." And I was like, oh my gosh. Now, I got to tell you this, Chris. My dad, who was a detective in New York at the time, right? All his friends are police officers. They used to go and watch me fight, knocking guys out. Go to the Golden Gloves, and they'd all the police officers, my dad's friends would be there and stuff, you know. And so my dad, when I first got my contract, you know, there was I was at the CNN Center, and I was waiting for to meet with Dusty Rhodes, and so they said, "Go on and see Dusty." I go in his office, and he's on the phone in a really deep conversation, and so I'm standing at his desk, and he goes, "Hold on," he goes, "Hey kid, here's a contract. Take it home, have your attorneys look it over, and get back to me." And he gets back on the phone. And I got this contract. And I'm looking at it. And Chris, I turned the page and it says 75 the first year, 150 the second year. But with merchandise, you're going to make about 6 figures your first year. And I'm thinking, I'm making $23,000 busting my butt digging swimming pools, right? So I go, "Excuse me, Dusty." And he's kind of annoyed now. He goes, "What?" And I go, "Do you mind if I just sign this here? I don't even have an attorney." And he goes, "Welcome to WCW." Now, Chris, I can't wait to call my father. Now, my dad is a Jew from New York, okay? And my dad was from Brooklyn, okay? So he talked like this, like, "Mark, here's $1." You know, that's how my dad would talk. So there's 3 things they say you don't do. You know the old saying, you don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit in the wind, and you don't call a Jew collect. Okay, see, I have no money on me, right? So I got to call my father collect. My dad would not take a collect phone call. So I call him, and this is back in 1991 where you'd say, "Collect call from," and you say your name.
Yeah.
And they go, "Collect call from." I go, "Dad, don't hang up. It's an emergency." And he goes, "Okay." I go, "I'll take it." He goes, "Mark, what's up?" I go, "Dad, you're not going to believe this. I'm at the CNN Center, and I just signed a contract with WCW Wrestling." And he pauses, and he doesn't say a word. He goes, "Mark, I always do someday. My son was going to make it." And he goes, "What do they got you doing?" I go, "Well, Dad, they got me doing this Little Richard gimmick." He goes, "Little Richard? Is that gay black guy?" And I go, "Yeah, but Dad, they're paying me $100,000 a year." He goes, "Oh, I always liked that Little Richard."
What a story.
Yeah.
It's been so great finally having you on the show.
Thank you, Chris.
Congratulations on getting married.
Yes.
Congratulations on the book. I'm sure a lot of people after hearing this conversation are going to want to go check it out.
Yeah, Bad to Good on Amazon.
I'm going to end this interview with the question I ask everybody. You love gratitude. I love gratitude. It's a guiding force in my life. I wake up every day, and with my wife, Rachel, we say out loud 3 things we're grateful for. Doesn't matter how tired we are, we do it before going to bed. What are 3 things you're grateful for right now?
Number 1, first and foremost, my relationship with Christ. Number 2, my wife. And number 3, my health. Most important things.
I love that.
Yeah.
Marc, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. You take care.